The air was thick with sweat, moans, and the overpowering scent of alcohol. The dimly lit room pulsed with music as bodies tangled together in sinful chaos. I felt liberated, excited even, finally experiencing something new, as I had told my husband. It's not cheating. I had laughed, brushing a hand over his chest just hours ago. It's just a party. Surprisingly, he didn't argue. He didn't yell. He just let me go. No hesitation, no anger, just a cold, unreadable stare before he walked out of the house. And now, here I was, surrounded by 3 men, caught in the heat of the moment, completely unaware that my world was about to be ripped apart. The first thing I noticed was the sudden silence. The music cut off. The murmurs outside the room turned into gasps. And then, the deafening roar of a chainsaw filled the air. I froze. My body tensed as I looked toward the door. The other men shifted uncomfortably, confused. Bam! 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 The door rattled violently as someone banged against it from the outside. And then, it flew open with a splintering crash. There stood my husband. His face was void of emotion, his eyes dark, soulless. And, in his hands, a roaring chainsaw. I barely had time to process what was happening before he took a step forward, the chainsaw revving higher, the sound filling every corner of the room like the scream of a demon from hell. And that's when I knew. The worst was about to happen. My body locked up in sheer panic. The deafening roar of the chainsaw drowned out my thoughts, but nothing could block out the sight in front of me. There he was, Noah, my husband, the man I had built a life with, the man I once loved. But the way he stood now, rigid and cold, made me realize this wasn't the man I knew anymore. Something inside him had snapped. His face was eerily calm, but his eyes? They held nothing but pure, unfiltered rage. The veins in his neck bulged as his grip tightened on the chainsaw, his knuckles white. "Oh my God!" one of the men in the room gasped, scrambling away from me. The chainsaw roared even louder as Noah took a step forward, his voice eerily steady, yet sharp enough to cut through bone. "Did you have fun, Emily?" I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came out. My throat was dry. My heart pounded so violently in my chest that I thought it might explode. The 3 men I was with, men who, minutes ago, were touching me, whispering dirty words in my ear, running their hands over my bare skin, were now scrambling to grab their clothes, their faces pale as death itself. And just like that, the power shift was instant. A few moments ago, they were in control. They laughed, whispered filthy promises, and told me I was the kind of woman who deserved to be treated like this. But now? Now they looked like scared rats trapped in a burning house. Noah took another step forward, dragging the chainsaw across the wooden floor, sending splinters flying. "Real!" "What the hell is wrong with you, man?" One of the men, Ethan, my husband's best friend, yelled, stumbling backward. But Noah ignored him. His gaze was locked on me. "Tell me, Emily." His voice was dangerously calm. "Tell me exactly why you thought this was just a party." I swallowed hard, my mind racing. How could I explain it? I had told him I wanted to experience something new, that I needed to feel something different, something I hadn't felt in years. I told him it wasn't personal. It wasn't cheating. "It's just a party," I had said. But now, with the chainsaw roaring in front of me, those words felt like a death sentence. Because looking at Noah, I realized he had been planning something. something terrible, and I had no idea what was coming next. Noah's fingers flexed over the handle of the chainsaw, the vibrations from the roaring blade making his arm tense. His eyes never left mine, cold, soulless, like a predator cornering its prey. "Say it, Emily." His voice was dangerously calm. "Say what you told me before you walked into this room." My lips trembled. My mind raced through every conversation I'd had with him before the night, but nothing seemed like enough to justify what was happening now. His rage was deeper than just betrayal. It was something more, something I hadn't realized until this very moment. I told you it wasn't cheating," I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. Noah let out a slow, hollow chuckle. "Not cheating?" One of the men, Jason, the youngest of the three, tried to step in, his voice shaking. "Listen, man, we didn't mean any harm. It was all consensual. She—" Noah's head snapped toward him so fast that Jason froze mid-sentence. "Did I ask you to speak?" Noah growled. Jason backed up against the bed, swallowing hard. I felt my heart crack under the weight of my own stupidity. I had convinced myself that this was just a fun experience, something thrilling and new. I told myself that Noah would get over it, that he wouldn't care. But I was so wrong. Noah's grip tightened on the chainsaw handle. "You didn't just cheat, Emily." His voice was eerily controlled, but his eyes burned with hatred. "You laughed in my face. You looked me in the eyes and told me you wanted 2 Johnsons at once. Do you even realize how that sounded?" A sickening realization hit me like a punch to the gut. He wasn't just angry because I had cheated. He was angry because I had humiliated him. "I trusted you," Noah continued, taking another step forward, the chainsaw blade humming inches from the wooden floor. "I gave you my loyalty, my love, my everything, and in return, you stood there and told me I wasn't enough. You told me to my face that you needed more than just me." A wave of shame hit me so hard that I felt dizzy. I didn't mean it like that," I whispered, tears forming in my eyes. Noah's expression twisted into something even darker. "Oh? So tell me, Emily, when exactly did you mean it? Before or after you let 3 men touch what was supposed to be mine?" Silence. I had no answer. Because the truth was, I had been cruel, and now I was about to pay for it. The tension in the room was suffocating. The only sound was the roaring chainsaw, its blade glinting under the dim lights. My heartbeat pounded in my ears, drowning out every other thought. Noah's stare cut through me like a blade. He didn't just look angry. He looked like a man who had been pushed beyond his limits, past the point of rational thought. His grip tightened on the handle, his knuckles white. "You wanted 2 Johnsons at once?" His voice was low, controlled, but dripping with venom. "What's wrong, Emily? Are 3 not enough anymore?" Tears pricked my eyes. "Noah, please." He let out a humorless chuckle, tilting his head. "Please? Now you're begging?" He took another step forward, dragging the chainsaw across the floor. The high-pitched screech of metal against wood sent shivers down my spine. "You weren't begging when you looked me in the face and told me I wasn't enough. You weren't begging when you walked into this room, stripped yourself bare, and let these men have you." His voice cracked slightly on the last word, but he quickly covered it with a bitter laugh. One of the men, Ethan, his so-called best friend, finally found his voice. "Man, listen," I didn't mean for this to go this way. Didn't mean for what? Noah snapped, eyes wild as he turned toward him. Didn't mean to screw my wife? Didn't mean to set up this whole party so you could get a taste of her while laughing behind my back. Ethan's face drained of color. I thought you were okay with it. Noah's expression twisted into something darker than I had ever seen. You really think I'd be okay with my wife whoring herself out? I flinched at his words, but I knew I deserved them. Noah exhaled slowly, shaking his head. You know, Ethan, I actually trusted you. You were my best friend. I brought you into my home. I treated you like family. His voice was eerily calm, which made it even more terrifying. And in return, you took everything from me. Ethan held up his hands, stepping back. Noah, let's talk about this. We can figure something out. Figure something out, Noah repeated, laughing bitterly. Sure. Let's figure something out. Before anyone could react, Noah lifted the chainsaw and swung it. The room exploded into chaos. The blade barely missed Ethan's face as he stumbled backward, crashing into the nightstand. The chainsaw cut through the air with a horrifying "Ram!" sending sparks flying as it hit the metal bed frame. The other two men, Jason and Tyler, scrambled away, their naked bodies scrambling to grab their clothes. This guy is insane, Jason screamed, knocking over a lamp as he bolted toward the door. But Noah was faster. With one swift motion, he kicked the door shut, blocking their escape. The chainsaw purred in his hands, the vibrating hum the only thing filling the room. His voice was deadly. No one is leaving. A chilling silence fell over the room. Noah, listen. I tried again, my voice shaking. I messed up, okay? I know that. But you don't have to do this. He slowly turned to me, his gaze piercing. I don't have to? His laugh was hollow. You made me a joke, Emily. You humiliated me in front of everyone. And now you think you get to decide what I do? I swallowed hard. I still love you. His expression turned ice cold. No, you don't. You love the thrill, the excitement, the attention. He took another step toward me, and I instinctively backed up, my legs hitting the bed. You never loved me. If you did, you wouldn't have done this. I had no argument. He was right. I had destroyed the one thing that mattered most. Noah sighed, as if coming to a decision. He lowered the chainsaw slightly, but didn't turn it off. You know, Emily, I actually thought about forgiving you. I thought about just walking away and letting you rot in your own choices. A sliver of hope flickered inside me. We can fix this, Noah. I swear. His gaze hardened. But then I realized something. The hope shattered instantly. You don't deserve forgiveness. He revved the chainsaw to full power. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just revenge. This was my punishment. The chainsaw's deafening roar filled the room, drowning out everything else. My pounding heartbeat, the panicked breaths of the three men, and even my own pleas for mercy. Noah's grip on the handle was unshaken, his stance firm like a man who had already made up his mind. He wasn't just here to scare us. He was here to make sure we paid. Noah, stop! I screamed, my voice raw with desperation. Please, let's talk about this. His head tilted slightly, as if actually considering my words. But then his lips curled into a mocking smirk. Now you want to talk? He let out a dry, bitter laugh. Where was this when you were sprawled out for these men? Where was this when you looked me in the eye and said I wasn't enough? I couldn't answer, because he was right. Jason, one of the men who had been touching me just minutes ago, was now visibly shaking. "Dude, this has gotten out of hand," he stammered. We didn't force her. She came willingly. We thought it was fine." Noah's eyes snapped toward him like a predator, locking onto its prey. "Oh, I know she came willingly," he said. "That's what makes this even worse." "Roar!" The chainsaw screeched as he revved it higher. "Noah, please!" I shrieked, tears spilling down my face. For the first time, his eyes softened, just slightly. There was still a flicker of something, of the man I had once known. For a split second, I thought maybe, just maybe, he would stop. Then Ethan made the worst mistake of his life. He lunged at Noah. "Drop the damn thing, man!" Ethan roared, his hands going for the chainsaw. Time slowed to a crawl. Noah didn't hesitate. He sidestepped, twisting his body, and, in one fluid motion, he swung the chainsaw downward. "Busy!" A blood-curdling scream filled the room as Ethan collapsed, clutching his arm. His sleeve shredded, deep gashes along his forearm. Jason and Tyler froze in horror, their faces pale. Ethan rolled onto the floor, groaning in agony. Blood seeped between his fingers as he pressed his palm to his wounded arm. Noah stood over him, his voice eerily calm. "You thought you could take something from me and walk away?" He lifted the chainsaw again. That's when Jason and Tyler snapped out of their shock. They ran for the door. Jason yanked it open, pushing Tyler ahead of him. "Screw this, I'm out!" Noah didn't chase them. He just smirked. "Run all you want," he muttered. "I already got what I came for." I barely had time to process what he meant before he turned his attention back to me. His expression darkened once more. "As for you," my breath caught. "Noah, get up." His voice was sharp, commanding. "Now." My body obeyed before my mind could catch up. I stood, trembling. His eyes bore into mine. "You want to act like a whore?" He took a step forward, backing me against the wall. "Then you're going to learn what it feels like to be treated like one." Tears blurred my vision. "I didn't mean to hurt you." His smirk returned, but it was cruel. "Oh, Emily." He leaned in close, his breath warm against my ear. "You didn't just hurt me. You ended yourself." Then he took a step back and did something that made my blood run cold. He threw the chainsaw to the floor and pulled out his phone. I stared, confused. "What are you doing?" He tilted the screen toward me and pressed play. A video appeared. And that's when my world shattered. The screen glowed in the dim room as the video began to play. I couldn't breathe. I already knew what was coming, but seeing the look in Noah's eyes told me this wasn't just a video. This was my sentence. And then I saw myself. The screen flickered, and there I was, laughing, teasing, touching, with 3 men all over me. My own voice played back at me loud and clear. "It's not cheating, babe. It's just a party." Then, even worse, the moment that sealed my fate. "Come on, don't be boring, Noah." "I need more than just one," I gasped. My body went numb. This was it. This was the moment he had snapped, and he had it all on video. "Noah, where did you get this?" My voice cracked. He chuckled darkly, tilting his head. "Oh, Emily, do you really think I didn't see this coming?" My stomach twisted. "What? What do you mean?" He tapped the screen. The video cut to a different angle, a security feed. The entire party had been recorded. Every moment, every touch, every word. "You think I just let you go so easily?" he said, his voice dripping with venom. "Oh, let you walk into your own trap." My legs gave out beneath me. I collapsed onto the floor, my hands covering my mouth. This wasn't just about revenge. This was about destruction. "Noah, please," I sobbed. "You can't." He swiped his screen, and my world shattered even further. The video was already uploaded. "Noah, no!" I lunged for the phone, but he pulled it away with ease. "Oops," he said coldly. "Too late." The damage was done. The entire video had been sent to my boss, my family, my friends. The people who once respected me, everyone knew. My infidelity, my betrayal, my worst moment, all out in the open. This was nuclear revenge. Noah hadn't just destroyed me in this room. He had erased my entire life. I choked on a sob. "Noah, please, I'll do anything. Just take it down." He crouched beside me, tilting my chin up so I was forced to look at him. "Anything?" His voice was laced with amusement. I nodded frantically, my body trembling. "Anything, I swear." He smirked. "That's funny, because earlier tonight, that's exactly what you said to them." I shattered. "Enjoy your new life, Emily," he whispered. Then he turned and walked out, leaving me with nothing but my own destruction. I sat there frozen, my body shaking as the reality of what had just happened sank in. Noah was gone. He had walked out without a second glance, leaving me in the ruins of my own making. But the true nightmare wasn't inside this room. It was waiting for me out there, in the world I had once known. I don't remember how I got home that night. Everything felt like a blur, like I was trapped inside a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. My legs moved on autopilot, my mind blank, my body numb. The moment I stepped out of that room, the world around me had shifted. I was no longer Emily Carter, the wife, the professional, the woman who once had respect and a future. I stood in front of my apartment door, hesitating to go inside. It didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a graveyard, a place where the person I used to be had died. The door handle felt cold beneath my fingertips, and for a moment, I thought about turning away. Maybe if I left, if I ran far enough, I could escape this. But where would I go? What life was left for me now? As I finally stepped inside, the silence was suffocating. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt familiar anymore. The couch where Noah and I had once sat together, watching movies. The kitchen where he used to make me coffee in the mornings. The framed pictures on the wall. Frozen moments from a life that no longer existed. My chest tightened as I realized he was never coming back. Not to this home, not to me. My phone vibrated again, and again, and again. The moment I looked down at the screen, a wave of dread crashed over me. The notifications wouldn't stop. Hundreds of messages. From people I knew. From people I had never even met. Everyone had seen the video. Mom. "Emily, what have you done? Your father is ashamed to even call you his daughter." Best friend, Olivia. "Don't ever speak to me again. You disgust me." Work group chat. "Wow, I always knew she was fake, but this is next level. What a joke." Random number. "Damn, girl, you really let 3 guys have you at once? Your ex-husband is a legend." Ex-coworker. LMAO. "This is the best office scandal ever. Guess you don't need your job anymore." OnlyFans next? My stomach dropped. My hands shook violently as I tried to swipe the messages away, as if deleting them could erase the truth. but nothing could stop it. This wasn't just a moment of shame. This was a lifetime sentence. The internet never forgets. The whispers, the laughs, the disgusted stares, they would never stop. Noah hadn't just taken revenge. He had made sure that my entire existence would never be the same. He didn't need to hurt me physically. He had done something far worse. He had made sure I could never escape the consequences of my own actions. The weight of it crashed down on me like a tidal wave. My knees buckled and I collapsed onto the floor, my breath coming in ragged, panicked gasps. There was no fixing this. No apology could undo it. No running away could make it disappear. My career was over. My friendships were over. My family had disowned me. I had lost everything. For the first time, I truly understood what I had done. I thought I was chasing excitement. I thought I was just having fun. But I was too blind to see what I had destroyed in the process. I clutched my phone, my fingers trembling as I stared at the screen through tear-blurred vision. I wanted to call Noah. I wanted to beg him to take it all back, to forgive me. But deep down, I knew he had already won, and I had already lost.